now they're trusting a 14-win team to the hands of not just a rookie, I would suggest, somebody who hasn't played a snap. You weren't that good in college compared to the rest of that quarterback class. Weren't you, Chase, help me out here, fifth quarterback taken?
Yeah, but you look at how this roster is constructed, and it starts at the top with the coach of the year in Kevin O'Connell, with the help of Justin Jefferson, with the help of everyone else. I do believe it's the right amount of faith.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Vikings in today's video. Non-Vikings fans are going to hate what I'm about to say, but this team reminds me very similarly to the San Francisco 49ers just a few years ago when Jimmy Garoppolo, their starting quarterback, got injured. Last draft pick in the entire draft, Brock Purdy comes in, and he's been their starting quarterback ever since. And the reason I'm saying that is because Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings last season won 14 games, and it was crazy. It was an unlikely emergence. Nobody really thought, even if you're optimistic like we were on this channel on Sam Darnold, nobody thought like 14 wins in a loaded NFC North division. It was crazy, right? And it was even outside of the quarterback. The defense was unbelievable. The run game was unbelievable. Everything was pretty much perfect. It's just crazy. Nobody thought the Vikings were winning 14 games is essentially my point. And so it just, here's the thing with J.J. McCarthy, and everyone will tell you this, and myself included, he's not going to be perfect, but he has everything around him. And until we see him play live NFL snaps, it's just kind of difficult to say anything other than hypotheticals. But everything the Minnesota Vikings have done, whether it was last offseason or this past offseason, like getting Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, in the draft they go with Donovan Jackson, Ty Felton. They're setting it up perfectly offensively and defensively for J.J. McCarthy. So, folks, welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings in today's video, but before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I can already see it kind of popping up on my mic here. I've got the pop filter or whatever. It arrives tomorrow, so apologize if you're listening with headphones. I don't know. People, I agree, it's a little annoying, but it'll be fixed. This is the last video like this. The biggest strength for the Minnesota Vikings last year was, obviously their offense, but more specifically it was, TJ Hawkinson when he came back healthy, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson being, probably the best wide receiver in the National Football League, and it equated to Sam Darnold having just a phenomenal season. But here's why the Vikings are getting so much flack right now, and people weren't paying attention to the Vikings at any point last season. If you're a fan, I don't need to explain that to you. You're well aware. Even when you guys were beating my Green Bay Packers, or you were beating San Francisco, or you were beating Houston, or even, in Europe and taking down the New York Jets, people all the way up until, honestly, to be honest with you, at no point did anyone really take the Vikings seriously, no matter if they were undefeated or they were a double-digit win team. And when they lost in the wild card round, first playoff game to the Los Angeles Rams, people were saying, well, all right, now they just lost their starting quarterback. This team is going to regress so much because, well, they lost Sam Darnold, 14-3. They're not going to be able to replicate that, recreate that, and they lost their quarterback. And now you got to turn to, even if J.J. McCarthy is going to be an average, solid quarterback, he's a rookie, right? Well, here's the thing. The interior offensive line for Minnesota last season was absolutely horrible in the last 6 games of the regular season, including the playoffs. Over their final 6 total games, the Minnesota Vikings posted a 54.4 pass blocking grade per PFF, which by that metric was second worst in the entire National Football League. Now, obviously, Christian Darrisaw, your star left tackle, he got injured. I thought I had it, week 8, season-ending injury, which absolutely sucked. But most of their issues came on the interior offensive line. So when Ryan Kelly, even especially Ryan Kelly, but even Will Fries, because I know he's still injured, he's not practicing or anything like that, but he is going to be apparently healthy for training camp here in the next couple of weeks. Those were game changers, all right? And, like I said, here's the thing. Ryan Kelly and Will Fries is exactly what the doctor ordered, but then the discussion began, all right, well, left guard is still dicey. What are they going to do? Are they going to go back with Blake Brandel? They have still a huge flaw with left guard. And then in their lone top 100 draft pick, 2 months later, they go out there and they pick up Donovan Jackson out of the Ohio State University. Now, when he played inside last season, he earned a 72.6 PFF pass blocking grade at probably the best, or they did win the national championship, so the best college football team. He was also very versatile this past season. He shifted to left tackle and held his own the entire time. And like I said, now he's joining two really solid tackles, a healthy Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill on the right side. You picked up Will Fries to be your starting right guard. You picked up Ryan Kelly to be the starting center. By the way, both of those two guys are from the Indianapolis Colts, so they have plenty of rapport, chemistry, and timing together, and they're also two of the best in their respected positions. But that's my point, is the only flaw people had was the interior offensive line heading into the season, maybe defensive back room. Well, they addressed that in free agency, but still not the left guard position, and then they do that in the draft. And so the whole, people know, obviously, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, and obviously Justin Jefferson. People give so much, it's almost like a backhanded compliment to the Minnesota Vikings, saying all right, well, JJ McCarthy, he's got Justin Jefferson, he's got all those players we just mentioned, he's got everything he needs to succeed this upcoming season. And it's well, actually, it goes a little bit deeper. Their entire offensive line, as long as they can stay healthy, should be absolutely money for JJ McCarthy. Whether it was Sam Darnold, JJ, doesn't matter who the quarterback was, that interior offensive line needed to be fixed. It got fixed, and in fact, it's a huge strength. It's a huge advantage now. So when we look at JJ McCarthy, he's obviously the main vocal point right now, and he was sidelined for pretty much the entire rookie season because he played just one preseason appearance against the Las Vegas Raiders, where he was very impressive. He had an 84 PFF passing grade, and I know it was a preseason game, but I've been covering the Raiders for a few seasons now. A lot of their starters were playing in that game. And so, yeah, we're going to be looking at, how quickly can he adjust to being the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. But like everybody has been saying, and like we're going to say one more time here, he's got a great supporting cast. You've got one of the best play callers in the National Football League in Kevin O'Connell. Very quarterback-friendly system. I also, if you've been watching this channel all summer, we've been huge on the Jordan Mason move. I mean, that's a huge move. Aaron Jones, as a former as a Green Bay Packers fan, him being obviously our franchise guy for a long time, the biggest thing is keeping Aaron Jones healthy, and he had almost 1,200 total rushing yards last season. Aaron Jones is an absolute beast, but once we got into the playoffs, you started to see, whether it was Ty Chandler or Cam Akers, there wasn't much craziness there, and that's what Jordan Mason's going to be able to come in here for Aaron Jones when he needs a breather or they need a change of pace. They're looking for a home run play, just a 40-yard gapper. That's what Jordan Mason's for. So everything's around J.J. McCarthy right now. And if we were to base him off his last year of film at Michigan, the dude's an absolute beast. And he's going to be a beast this upcoming season, despite being a rookie or a second-year guy. So that's all we have for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and we'll see you soon. Peace.